Continue recording. There we go. All right. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Let me go ahead and take a moment to share the agenda. All righty. Okay. And here we go. Thanks everybody for joining the quarterly call today. I appreciate everybody accommodating the move from last week when it would traditionally be held so that we could all join the fantastic Region 8 conference. So thanks for being flexible. Just to start off, a few announcements. Please be sure that you are muted unless you're speaking so that to minimize disturbance. And if you have any issues hearing us or anything, be sure to let us know in the chat. You can also drop any questions that you may have in the chat for us along the way, and we'll either address them as we go or after the fact. I would like to start the meeting out with a land acknowledgement. The Colorado Department of Local Affairs building itself is situated on the traditional land of several indigenous groups, to include the Sioux, Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples. Additionally, our reach extends throughout the state, covering traditional land of various indigenous groups and cultures who have stewarded the land throughout generations and continue to do so. We acknowledge and express respect and gratitude to these people and are committed to continually working to create a long-lasting, non-extractive, and supportive relationship with Native people throughout Colorado. Alrighty, thank you so much, everybody, for that. And I am Alex Diaz. I am the program manager for the CSBG program with the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. And I will allow Josiah to introduce himself as well before we introduce our new staff member.
Good afternoon, everyone. Josiah Massengale, Executive Director of the Colorado Community Action Association, your statewide membership organization. And I believe we also have staff members Blake Duvall and Liz Espinoza on the call as well. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thanks, Josiah. Yes, so CCA, love them. And we also have a new program coordinator for the Community Services Block Grant with the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. Her name is Becky, so I will allow Becky to briefly introduce herself and say hello to the network.
Hello, everyone. My name is Becky Sad, and it's my second day, so I'm still learning everything and look forward to figuring it all out. And thank you all for your patience.
Thanks, Becky. Alrighty, so to get started, does anybody on the call today have any announcements that they would like to share with the group before we continue on to the meeting? Alrighty, I will go ahead and hand it over to Josiah to kick it off.
Thanks, Alex, and formally, officially welcome, Becky. So excited to have you in our network. Thank you for joining us. And folks, you'll get a copy of our slideshow after the meeting with the copy of the recording. There are some hyperlinks in here that you can follow, but pretty quick update for us this go around. The first off thing we wanted to talk about real quickly is that our membership period for this program year 2022 through 2023 is open. So if you go to our website, and I'm showing that on your screen on the presentation, go to our website, go over to membership, and it gives you a little bit of information about what membership brings to the table for you and what it means to us. And it means a great deal to us. And you also have the opportunity then to do the membership application, sign up online, or you can download an invoice and send in a copy of a check if that would be the preferred way. But really appreciate membership. The membership dues are the same as they've been the past couple of years. And to those of you that are current members, as always, we really appreciate you all being members of ours. The support means a ton. And it's really, really helpful when we talk with our national partners to show that we do have engagement. We have formal buy-in from our CSBG eligible entities, all of you folks around the state. And you'll see in our slides here, we have the annual dues, and we have a 2-year discount, which is a 20% discount. So if you sign up for 2 years, you get a significant discount. We do encourage that. And as always, individuals that self-identify as low income or having a low income background, are eligible to become members for free, and we really strongly encourage that. And we do have quite a few folks take advantage of that. So certainly on your tripartite boards / advisory committees, those folks that fulfill the low income sector, please do let them know about our membership, and we'd love for them to sign up as members for free. And please do unchime yourself. Let us know of any questions as we go through our update today, or you can put it in the chat as well. So next up, as Alex mentioned, we just completed our 2022 Region 8 conference. We're going to debrief on that under their update. But we did want to take just a few minutes during this conference call to start planning out our 2023 regional forums. As all of you that have been in the network for a while know, our general schedule of what we do on a year-to-year basis alternates between doing a statewide conference, or in 2022's case, a Region 8 conference in Colorado, and then in the next year doing regional forums where we take a training and a convening resources out to the communities. And it's always something that we work to coordinate with you all on, how many we do, where they're at, what time frame they are, and what we're going to cover during those regional forums. So this is the start of that conversation. You'll see in the slides we have some questions that we're going to take a few minutes here to ask you all. We're going to use a Menti poll so we can gather all of your feedback in one place and we can all see it. So if you wouldn't mind, in an internet browser, open up an internet browser on your computer and type in menti.com. That's MENTI.com, and use the code 9782254. Maybe one of my fellow CCA staff members can put that up in the chat for us, but that's menti.com. And once you're there, it'll ask for a code. If you'll enter 9782254, that should allow you to answer these questions for us. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up that screen so that we could look at some responses as we gather them. Go ahead and enter in that code, and you should see the first question: what topics should be considered for the 2023 regional forums? And I can tell you, based on our upcoming cycle, with the needs assessment and the community action plan being due October of 2023, that'll likely be a piece of our program for these regional forums. Likely something around how you move from a needs assessment to a community action plan. So we'll definitely look at that, but we want to hear other topics that we should consider for these 2023 regional forums. And we got some coming in, the needs assessment, community action plans. Yep, that's definitely going to be a part of our agenda. Equity, sustainability, organizational standards, tripartite boards. See another one for needs assessment. Work standards, tripartite boards. So we're seeing some themes come through already: community needs assessment, community action plan, subrecipient training, including common forms and manuals. That's a really interesting one. We're going to ask in a moment here who should be the audience for these regional forums. So whoever put in that one would likely probably say subrecipients would be a good audience for us to include. Innovative ways to use CSBG funds, basic income, social enterprises, love those, really great topics. Org standards, using various websites for reporting, pulling regional data for org standards, tracking org standards, the needs assessment, sustainability, more in-depth training for some subjects. The standards, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, needs assessment, social enterprise, client stories, strategic planning as it relates to the org standards, and government agencies where only the Board of County Commissioners can approve a strategic plan, and it has to be for the full county. It's a good one. We can talk about that one. Whoever wrote that one, please send myself or Dola or one CCA staff member an email about that, and we can talk about that further. Roma, all levels. Whoever wrote that, I appreciate you very much. As a Roma certified trainer, we will definitely, if we don't do Roma at the regional forums, we'll have many opportunities for you all to tap into Roma as we move forward through the end of 2022 and 2023, and we'll touch on that in a moment. Feel free to keep writing answers in there, and we're going to move on to the next question now. potentially. Who should be a part of the target audience for our 2023 regional forums? And you can select all that you think should be targeted. There's maybe a population that we're missing in here, and if so, go ahead and throw it in the chat and we'll make note of that. But of course, we're going to gear up our audience as CSBG eligible entity program staff, right? So you all that are on this call, it'll be geared towards you. Eligible entity finance staff, potentially. Eligible entity leadership. Eligible entity tripartite board, committee members. CSBG sub-awardees, these are your subcontractors, your sub-recipients in the program. Community partners, other government entities, nonprofit, faith-based, community-based organizations, and then community stakeholders, general community members. We would love to know, engage the interest in what type of an audience we should really target for these regional forums. Obviously, that would help us to determine, what topics we address and how we address those topics. And it's really important for us to get a feel for who you all think should be at these regional forums. And again, feel free to go in there and put in your answers, and you can select as many as apply. We got some chats coming in, appreciate that. Linda said, think it depends on what topics actually end up being offered. That, of course, is true. Although I would say that if we see a good portion of you telling us community stakeholders should be involved, then we would definitely try to figure out, what kind of a community action type of a topic would be relevant for them. And maybe we'd have a separate agenda piece for that target audience so that we can really focus on some specific things. So these are all things that we'll be planning over the next year. Good, we'll move on to the next one. Don't want to take too much time. As we go through, what cities, towns should a regional forum be hosted in? What cities, towns would you travel to in order to attend a regional forum? So generally for us to do a regional forum, there needs to be a little bit of lodging in case somebody needs to travel far and we have a full day schedule and they shouldn't be expected to, be able to travel home that evening, or even if they have to travel the day before, to be sure to be there by the start of the regional forum. If we do, breakfast type of a start, there also needs to be some meeting space, obviously, so that we can host a group of folks. I would say anywhere from 5 to 20 folks, depending on the area. And it should be a place that is relatively central for a region or a group of communities. And anytime we get a place that you folks are used to going to, your stakeholders are used to going to, that would be really appreciated. This is probably a good time to let you know that we always build out in our budget scholarship support for folks to attend our regional forums. So if you have tripartite board members, or staff members that need to travel to these and they need some mileage support to do that, we can entertain that support for our scholarships. So getting some good answers in here. Metro area, we will hold at least one, possibly 2 or more regional forums in the metro area. Glenwood, Ouray, Steamboat, Grand Junction, Cheyenne, Wyoming, that would be an interesting one. Durango, Denver, Tahiti or Fiji, I'm on board with you. Jeffco, Colorado Springs, Western Slope, Southeast Colorado. These are some great feedback locations for us to consider. We really do try to get to all 4 corners of the state and everywhere in between, and make it so that everybody in the state has an opportunity to attend one of these within a 2-hour drive or so. So we will be looking at where to schedule these with a very considerate eye around all of that. So thank you for that feedback, and again, continue to put it in there if you have more. Please let us know the general time frame that would be best for your agency community to attend a 2023 regional forum. For instance, the spring or a certain month. Really what we're asking here, is there anything going on in your community at certain points of the year that we should absolutely avoid? So, if you have a big, your county fair and you have another festival that goes on at the beginning of August, you could just tell us to avoid August in here, or avoid early August, or if there's generally a good month for you to do stuff with you in your community. When you think about generally the spring to early fall time frame, what month or what week might that be? Or even if you have certain days that you just know are good in your community, or Wednesday or a Thursday, in the summer. So please do let us know. Be as detailed and specific as possible if you can. That really does help us to know. And if you are being specific, if you could let us know what community you're from, so when we start to, plan out those locations, we could think about those timeframes in relation to that. Seeing in here, not right after June 30 fiscal year end, so that's very good information for us to understand. I assume that's a public entity that is putting that in there. March through May, August through October, so avoid the summer, spring, summer, fall. So again, please give us this feedback and input, and we'll do the best to make each of the regional forums be scheduled at a time that is really convenient for you and your community and your stakeholders. Okay, and last one, what would be the preferred schedule program length for a 2023 regional forum? For instance, 1 day, 2 full days, half day, an evening, a morning. And I know it's really hard to answer this question without understanding what the agenda might be or who's all going to be there. But what we're asking here is, when you think about, okay, how much time do I have? How much time do our partners have? What can I afford to give CCAA and DOLA and community action for a regional forum next summer, based on what I know it's going to be like. And of course, we can't please everybody, but if a majority of you tell us a certain time frame or schedule length, we would try to abide by that. And knowing that CCAA and DOLA staff likely have to travel, that will also be a big consideration for the program length and how we schedule all these regional forums. And of course, if we're traveling out to your community, if possible, we would love to schedule some time with your agency to talk outside of the regional forum. So that's something that we should keep in mind as we continue to work on these. And Alex, I see you got your hand raised. Please jump in.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. For folks who are new, I was wondering if you could describe a little bit what the regional forums look like and what they are.
Yeah, it really depends on these types of feedback sessions we get from everybody, what we're doing in that particular year. But just for an idea of what we do in regional forums in the past, in 2020, we had regional forums scheduled, and of course, COVID hit, we had lockdown, and we actually didn't do any regional forums in 2020. But we were planning on doing a full day training for our regional forums in 2020 that was going to consist of a local theory of change. And so we were going to walk through with all of the attendees at the regional forum over a full day how to go and create a local theory of change, whether that was from an agency perspective or a community perspective. And of course, we would feed folks and give breaks and whatnot and try to make it as comfortable as possible. But that was what the 2020 regional forums were going to look like. And I think we were going to attach a full day Roma training to a couple of those regional forums as well. So we'd have possibly a Roma training the first day, a full day, and then the regional forum the next day for a full day. So that was 2020. 2018, if I'm remembering correctly, 2016, we did a lot on needs assessment and community action planning, because we were leading right up to the to submitting the application and the 3-year plan and needs assessment to the state at that point in time. So generally, whenever a regional forum falls around the time of us doing our 3-year needs assessment community action plan, there will be a big piece of the agenda geared towards that. In past regional forums, we've almost always offered an in-person 1-day Roma training around that regional forum in the community. Might not be the day before, the day after, but try to couple regional Roma with it. And that's something we can look at doing this go time around as well. So if you'd like to have an in-person Roma training and you'd like to do it around the time of the regional forum, let us know. Blake, anything to add to that? I know you've been, or anybody, anything to add to the regional forums that we've had in the past and kind of what to expect out of them?
No, I think you did a good job covering everything. Thank you, Josiah.
And again, it's really up to what we're going through at that point in time in the network, and what we need to highlight and prioritize. So we have a lot of flexibility in determining what these look like. Well, this poll will be up for another couple of hours, so please feel free to jump back in and provide more information in any of those questions. And again, really appreciate your feedback. We'll touch base with DOLA, obviously, and we'll continue to work around this as we plan out those 2023 regional forums. So I have a couple minutes left in my time, and I do have some more stuff to update on. The next thing is that we're building out some resources for the community needs assessment and community action plan that you all will be able to tap into as we move forward and start that process. We haven't scheduled the trainings yet, but those are coming out briefly. The one thing we really wanted to highlight today is that we're working on a web page on our CCA website that is going to contain resources for your needs assessment and community action plan. And you can go there. It'll be under the needs assessment tools under CSBG tab. Right now, there's just the national partnership needs assessment tool on there, but we'll be adding these more of these as we go. And one of the big ones we're working on with DOLA is to get the state demography's office report that we did, similar to the one we did 4 years ago. That really brought up very good data for each of your service areas. I just wanted to highlight the needs assessment that the National Community Action Partnership offers. You'll have to create a free account to do this, and this is the link that's on that website. So you can access this now. You can select the counties within Colorado that is in your service area. For this example, I'm using Baca County down there in the southeast. But you can see it has a ton of different data indicators, and you can choose any or all of these or none of these as you see fit. And so has major areas around population, income, employment, education, housing, social and economic factors, health behaviors, healthcare access, health outcomes, special COVID-19 topics. So really, really broad set of quantitative data points that you all might want to look at. Here's the example from Baca County. I just wanted to highlight that if you pull up the income data for your service areas, it has that very crucial data that we need to show in our needs assessment around rates of poverty prevalent amongst certain populations like gender, age, race, and ethnicity. So you see in Baca here, we have the total population that's below the 100% FPL at the time of this report. And it gives you where this report comes from. This is 2016 to 2020 ACS data. There were about 625 folks experiencing poverty in Baca County, roughly 18% of the population. You see, then it goes on to give you population and poverty by race. This is a quantitative data indicator that we have to see in your needs assessment. So please do tap into this National Community Action Partnership data tool and use it as a part of your assessment. And here is just a real quick showing of the BACA report. This includes all the data indicators. So you can see that it ends up being 133 pages worth of data that you can tap into. And you can then download the data in a bunch of different formats, including a PDF, a Word, or image files. So really powerful stuff there for your needs assessment. Please chime in with any questions or comments on that. But again, the needs assessment needs to be a broad assessment of needs and resources related to issues of poverty across your service area. It needs to contain both customer input and customer satisfaction data. Has to have quantitative and qualitative data. So we just went over really great quantitative data. The qualitative data is narrative, stories, language that you need to collect. Contains information from other key stakeholders such as education, faith-based, other government agencies, other nonprofits, etc. Clearly identifies the causes and conditions of poverty locally, at least as your agency understands it, and contains data related to the prevalence of poverty in relation to age, gender, race, and ethnicity, as we just looked at. So when we think about the needs assessment, we need to cover all of these major areas when we produce that product and have our tripartite boards and advisory committees review and approve those. So moving on, we just wanted to get on your radar that we're going to start talking about our projections for the 2023 program year coming up. we, as those have been in our network for a while know, at the fall time period of every year, we take a moment to think about the next program period, which starts on January 1st, and we project out what services or strategies we're going to implement, how many unduplicated individuals we're going to touch with those services and strategies, and what kind of outcome indicators we're hoping to obtain through those services and strategies. And we'll also project out how many unduplicated individuals we're projecting to get those outcomes through our services and strategies. So this is a really important part of the ROMA cycle, where we take time out before we implement the plan to project what our successes are going to be and what's going to take place during the period that we're looking at. And of course, you use these projections for the annual report. When we talk about what outcomes we achieved, it does ask how many outcomes were targeted during the period. So projecting out how many individuals get these various outcome indicators is actually used in your annual report. So a very important process that we're going to be going through in the fall. We'll talk about this more at our next quarterly conference call in October, and we'll start getting these scheduled with you, where we schedule out 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the size of your activities, to walk through all of this. And there's some resources in the slide that you can look at. There's a spreadsheet template that basically provides a template of what we're going to be going through and putting together. And if you're following along on my screen, you see this spreadsheet. Those of you that have done this a couple times should look very familiar. It hasn't changed, but we basically go out and map out our federal objectives, services, strategies, outcome indicators, and customer projected outcome counts in this spreadsheet. And then the two other resources in the presentation are the CSBG Annual Report Module 3 Excel spreadsheet and the CSBG Annual Report Module 4 Family Level spreadsheet. And we include these because when you're thinking about what you're going to be doing, your services or your strategies, and what you're going to be accomplishing, your community and or your family outcome indicators, what we call national performance indicators. Both of these Excel spreadsheets have both the strategies and the outcome indicators at the community level and the services and the outcome indicators at the family level. So what a great way to be able to think through what's all possible than looking through everything that we can report on to give you an idea of what's possible out there. So please do take a look at these resources and start planning around implementing this process again in the fall as we get closer to 2023. We are starting to plan out ROMA and Theory of Change trainings through the remainder of this year and into 2023. We just had the Region 8 Theory of Change course and cohorts wrap up. We had over 60 individuals from over 20 agencies across Region 8 participating, and it seemed to be really impactful for those participating. I know us at the CCAA going through it, it was really helpful, and it's going to really inform our strategic planning that we're about to do as an agency. So we're looking at doing this again for 2023. So be on the lookout for more information on that. And then we do have some ROMA trainings coming up. We have an in-person training, if you can believe it, Alamosa, September 19th. Really excited about that. And then we have a virtual training, which is three-hour sessions over Zoom that we're scheduling for September 14th, 21st, and 28th. So contact us for information to register, and we should be announcing both of those trainings coming up relatively soon. Lastly, some national regional trainings and conferences. We have the Community Action Partnerships 2022 Annual Convention in New York City at the end of August. This is in person and virtual, and you can register now. Then we have the National Community Action Foundation's virtual conference. That's going to be various dates in September. Really important to support NCAF, and whenever you can, hear David Bradley talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C. As our main person that talks with Congress is really important. So please do attend that if possible. As you all know, we meet with Congress every year. This year it's a virtual fly-in, so we'll be meeting with Colorado's delegation on September 29th. And we'll be inviting you all to those meetings for the appropriate representatives. So those of you that sit in District 2, we will be reaching out to you to schedule, possibly meet with Representative Negussi or his staff when we schedule that meeting, for example. And then we have our National Association for State Community Services Programs, or NASCAS. That's the National State Office Membership Organization. Their annual conference is October 24th through the 28th in Minneapolis. I always tell people, if you want to know what's coming down the pipeline from our federal partners to the state offices and eventually down to the local level, attend NASCAS conferences, because that's where it's all being discussed well ahead of time of being implemented in our network. So a very great conference to attend. And I believe yours truly, myself and Alex Diaz, will be presenting at that conference. So very excited about that. And lastly, just want to remind everyone that the CCAA has scholarships available for professional development, for trainings, for capacity building, really easy to apply. We always prioritize these funds for our network, and you can use these to attend any of the national trainings or other community action or poverty relevant and specific trainings or professional development. Or if you have a small need within your agency, you can apply for capacity building funds through this program. And of course, we have national certifications that we always like to support with our scholarship funds, such as the Roma Trainer and Implementer certification and the Certified Community Action Professional, or CCAP certification. So anyone interested in anything that you need financial support or peer-to-peer support, such as going through the Roma training process, let us know, and we'd love to work with you on that. Last slide is our contact information at the CCAA. Reach out at any time, and we'd love to figure out how we can better support you all. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dola and Alex. Thank you.
Thanks, Josiah. Alrighty, I will jump into my presentation now. And my piece should be fairly short. I wanted to thank Josiah, Blake, Liz for an incredible conference. We had close to 200 people total in attendance, including speakers and attendees. The topics that we discussed were wide-ranging, and I think really lended some excellent insights to folks throughout at every level of the program. So here's us being all cute on the slide here. State office folks, Aaron from Wyoming. We have Karen from Utah, Ricky and Ben from North Dakota, I believe, and Sarah Lowen from South Dakota. Where's Sarah Lowen from, Josiah?
Lori Clark from South Dakota.
Lori Clark from South Dakota. I was so close. Anyway, so these are some of the other state folks that we work with as well. And just as a note, we have been gathering as state office staff to collaborate, share best practices, and really be kind of a model in the nation for how we can collaborate at the state level. So that's something that we're working on. So if you ever have suggestions, ideas of feedback, best practices, other things that we can garner from other states and kind of learn how they do it differently, maybe even better, feel free to send those along, because we really are working on being collaborative and taking everything to the next level. Semi-annual reports. The semi-annual report is due July 29th. That's this Friday. So this is just a little reminder. This is what it looks like. It's primarily information about your tripartite board. If you have any questions about that, please let us know. We are no longer submitting those in the grants portal, so you can email those directly to me. They do not go in the grants portal. If you need that form, it is on the CSBG grantee resources page, and you can also always email me and I'll send you a copy. But yeah, there's that. The organizational standards are also due this Friday, July 29th. Thank you, everybody, for your understanding and flexibility as we shifted this timeline. Our hope was, even though we recently completed them earlier in 2020, our hope was that by shifting the next year's submission, we could make the administrative burden a little bit easier on eligible entities so that everything is not coming in right at the beginning of the year with the annual report and all of these other things. So we really wanted to create a little bit of a gap between the annual report and the org standards in order to ease that administrative burden on everybody. Of course, we welcome feedback as to whether or not that works for you. We know that this time it was a little bit of a tight turnaround. So yeah, please do let us know if you have any feedback about that. Our hope is that it won't be a complete reworking of the organizational standards for most entities. Just if you could readdress the org standards that were previously unmet and any org standards that have expired since the last submission, that should suffice. So if those org standards that were unmet previously are still unmet, then there's not going to be a lot that you can do there. But switching those to met if they are, uploading any relevant documentation. So hopefully it's a fairly quick assessment of those items that need attention. It will not be every item. So hopefully that administratively is a little bit easier. Let us know if you have any questions, any difficulty getting into the THO system. And of course, as far as THO goes as a reporting mechanism, we are consistently working with them to optimize how it works. The org standards module in particular is something new for THO. So the hope is that it makes it a little bit easier than using a different software system for org standards and then a different software for annual report. But in switching, we recognize that there are some functionalities that are less than ideal. So anytime you have suggestions, questions, things that we can do to work with THO to change their actual coding, they've been very responsive. Please do let us know. We are working all the time to make that system work better, be more functional, have documents copy over to relevant standards in a better, easier fashion. So your feedback on that is also very welcome. There are a couple of entities who had not yet completed their initial report submission. So those entities will have to do the complete rework. If you have any questions, let us know. Moving on to CARES spending. I believe that every entity now has a plan in place to get all of those CARES funds spent down by September 30th, 2022. Of course, we recognize that it was a heavy lift. There's more money floating around than some of us even know what to do with. So we appreciate everyone being proactive and really engaged in making sure that all of those funds will be spent down by that deadline. And as part of the follow-up documents that I will send out today, I will once again send out this CARES spending ideas presentation that we sent out from our national partners. It includes a lot of really great ideas for getting cash out the door at this point. If that's where we're at, then a lot of entities have had success with gas cards and grocery cards and even some technology assistance for eligible clients of making sure that they have the technology to access jobs and services and some of these other things. So if you have any questions about direct benefits like those or anything else as far as your CARES spending goes, please do let us know. I know that those are some ways to wrap up the final utilization of those last dollars. So if you're having any issues with that, those direct cash benefits or direct benefits in those forms of gas, groceries, etc., have been really useful for a lot of entities. So let us know. We have potential policies we can help you put in place, make sure that your contract is allows for those kinds of things. And thank you everyone again for your diligence and proactiveness, making sure that those funds get spent. We really want to make sure that CSBG as a network is seen as a place where funds can go to get into the community immediately, especially in the emergency situations. And we want to make sure that the feds understand that this is a good network to get those funds out in the community. And most folks have done a fantastic job of that. So thank you. The state plan is a plan that us at the state office submit up to our federal partners. It's a comprehensive plan that details exactly what we're going to do in order to, at the state level, strategically. And it's a biannual plan for the state of Colorado. So we submitted a full plan last year, and this year on September 1st, that's not accurate, it's September 29th. It's due, no, it's due at the beginning of September, disregard. So at the beginning of September this year, since we did submit a complete plan last year, it will basically just be updating our entity list and completing, the form that they have as complete. So we're not doing a full state plan this year. When we go to do our full state plan next year, we are going to try to be proactive in soliciting feedback from folks, letting you know what is in the state plan, what you would like to see, getting your ideas. So if you want to see the state plan draft, it is on the CSBG grantee resources page. And just know that as that comes up for completion again next year, we're going to try to get ahead of the ball, probably even early 2023, to really start drafting that, getting your feedback and understanding what you would like to see in the state plan so that it is a collaborative cycle. And option letters. We recently processed the most recent option letter, which infuses additional funds for the 2022 program year and onto your contract. That should be the last major infusion of funds for this program year. There may be that additional 1% that HHS likes to spring on us later in the year. But for the most part, that will be the last update to your budget for the 2022 program year. Please be sure that you've updated all of your budgets, as well as fields 9B and 9C with your contract amount and outstanding contract amount on the cover sheet that you submit with your requests for reimbursement. And that is it for the most part. If you have any questions, let us know. And that's it for me. So at this point, I think we can go ahead and open it up to any questions that folks may have about anything that we talked about today or anything else. And you can put that in the chat, or you can also unmute in order to ask. This is always the fun part. All right, well, Josiah, oh, we got a couple questions. Let's see here. Is there still a calendar available that shows what is due when? Yes, that is on the grantee resources page. Jen, I've tried to keep it updated with the changes in the org standard date and some of these other things. So be sure to check out the grantee resources page. And if you need that link, I'll drop it in the chat now for folks. Oh, I just happen to have it up. There you go. So most of our stuff is, that's the main link. Make sure to click into the grantee resources page, which is a little bit of a different link. It has all of our documents. And here, I'll just share my screen real quick just to make sure. So on this page, you can see the CSBG calendar and upcoming dates. And then right here, nestled under those dates is our program calendar that you can click into to get all of our upcoming dates and things for 2022. And we'll be updating that shortly for 2023 as well. Thank you for the question. Okay. I think that's all the questions, Josiah. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
I don't think so. It was so great to see so many of you last week in person, and excited to do that more in the future and continue to get out into your communities and say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Amber, for the feedback and the comments. And as far as those regional forums go, we are looking forward to, like Josiah said, getting out into the community, connecting with folks where you are. If you have any ideas or any other feedback that you want to provide on those, let us know. We want them to be a valuable use of everyone's time and to really have an opportunity to connect, create those relationships that make our whole network stronger. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate your excellence and your attendance at the meeting. I will follow up with all of the materials that we shared here today, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Thank you. Thanks, Karen.